Harry All Father Odin. Harry All Father Odin. Harry All Father Odin. Odin, All Father, Father of man, chieftain of the gods. We invite you here to this ritual on this special day, on this Yule feast, to hear our words, to hear our laughter and our tears, to hear us talk about those that we miss that are residing in your hall and the other afterlives. We ask you to join us, to sit with us, drink with us, laugh with us, cry with us, and be kin once again, even if for this short time in between the worlds. Hail Odin.
Hail Odin.
Odin, for this non-customary first round, we ask that you hear our oaths. You hear those things that we want to do better on the year to come, and that you hold us to those and guide us wherever you think it's necessary, where you think you may be able to help. Life is hard, but we know it's a lot easier to move through it if we have the guidance and the wisdom of the gods on our side. Hail.
Hail.
So our non-customary first round is the Peppermint pig. So most of us have been through this before. In the old days, in the old Viking days, they used to parade around a boar, and everybody would lay their hands on it. The boar was consecrated to Frey, and you would lay your hands on it and you would atone. They called it the Atonement boar, and you would use it to atone for something that you did, or maybe you could do better, or maybe make up for something you did wrong, an atonement of some sort. So we know what the word means. So it's used to atone for something. And all it ever says in the text is the atonement boar was let out and people made oaths to Frey. And those oaths would be oaths to do better, or oaths to repair or fix something that we broke this year. So as time progressed, the boar was phased out and people started to bake loaves in the shape of a pig. And they would do the same thing. They would pass the loaf and people would put their hands on it and they would atone for their thing and make an oath. And the loaves were put up and saved, and they would dry like a crouton, and they would grade those loaves. Come the charming of the plow in February or March, they would grade the loaves and they would put some in the meal for the animals and put some in the food for the ranch hands and for the people of the household. And they would bury some and till it into the soil. And the idea was that if everybody held true to their word, that they would add that good karma, that fertility back to the soil. Evolved it one more step into the future. We make our oath, we smack it with a hammer, and then we pour the candy on a plate and eat it while we go into our Sumble. One thing that I did this year is, and I've tried to do better, but I'll definitely do better moving forward, is we come out as pretty much the most public kindred. You know, at least we're given information that people can use. But I tend to be very short with people, or I started out very short with people, and I took a lot of things that they would say personal, when in reality they were just being ignorant and they lacked the communication skills that we had growing up. So a lot of people don't know how to communicate their intent, and it sounds like trolling, and I'm really quick to hammer them, in which case that's usually not the best course. So I've been trying to get a little bit better at fleshing out the situation and understanding it more before I hammer them. So that's my atonement.
I want to atone for kind of questioning things. It's kind of hard to explain it, but just sometimes I question things. And I question people, most especially Bodvar a lot. I tend to want to go on the safe side, but did you look at it this way, and did you look at it that way, and did you look at it that way? And I need to just shut up and realize that there is a plan, there is a process, and maybe I can't see it. But, you know, and not only him, but all of you are fully capable of doing what's in your vision, and I need to learn to quit questioning the process. So that's what I want to atone for.
That's not okay.
That is okay.
I'm just making sure everybody else is aware of that.
Hey, talk to my children.
Well, yeah, apparently they weren't bad babies. They're fine.
There you go. Eat your atonement. And we have, I don't know if you've noticed, but above every door is one of these hammers for years past. So it's kind of our thing to give them to somebody every year. And this year, I think you should go to Gjallarhorn for your home. Yes. So now we're moving into Sumble, and we all know the rules of Sumble. We don't say anything bad about anybody who's present, so all the joking on Chris has to stop for a little while.
Yeah, finally.
Or anybody's god or goddess who is present. So this first round goes to the god or goddess of your choice. And I will raise this horn to Tyr. It's not too often that I raise a horn to Tyr, but I feel like a one-armed warrior this year. Like we haven't had the tools for the fight, but we've managed to maintain it all year long with our whole public thing. And of course, we've had a lot of conflicts and resolutions that we had to deal with. But it just felt like I was going into the fight without all the tools that I needed. And so I always think of Tyr and a sword god missing his hand because he was honorable about a deed that he shouldn't have ever been tasked with. So that was kind of my motivation, and I just wanted to raise the horn to Tyr and thank him for, you know, being the guiding light.
Hail Tyr.
Hail Tyr.
Hail.
In days of yore, youth was born, sturdy strength of the stock of gods. At the edge of the earth, Edmaids 9 gave birth and suckle to the brightest of the gods. I raised this horn to Heimdall.
The second round goes to the Fallen. And I'm going to raise this horn to a very special man who I never had the opportunity to meet. He had passed just about the time I began my career in asatru, if you want to call it that. He had died at or about December 24th of 1993. He was born on the 4th of July in 1923, I think, and just outside of Reykjavik, Iceland, up in the mountains. Son of a farmer, who was a farmer himself and a poet, Sveinborn Wentensen, who somehow was reading old manuscripts and old poems and feeding his passion, and it spoke to his soul, and he said, why don't we do this anymore? And so he came down off the mountains and he started to sing these songs to people in pubs and on the street, and he created a following, a very small one at the time. And then there was this point where he was trying to get asatru, as he called it, recognized in Iceland as a national religion. So he petitioned to the parliament and he said, this should be a religion, these are our people, this is our past, this is our history. But of course, they are all paid by the church. So it would go through the cycle. And if I'm not mistaken, it went through that cycle about 9 times of him getting put down, put down, put down. So he went in the last time and he slams his fist down and he's like, I don't know why you guys keep putting this down, but we're going to try this again. We should probably make this a national religion. Of course, they don't want to, because then they have to split the funds that they're giving to all the national religions, and then asatru gets a cut. So they vote it down again. And when they voted it down, and keep in mind that this is very rare in Iceland, lightning struck the parliament building And they said, oh shit, we pissed off Thor. And they took a revote and they made asatru a national religion in Iceland. Lightning and thunder is very rare in Iceland. It's not a common occurrence. So, and then to strike a building right after they voted against it was even more uncommon. So without Svineborn, there's a good chance none of us would be sitting here. And if we were, we would be practicing a different asatru, I'm sure of that. So to Svineborn, I know that was a little long, but you should know your history. Hail to you.
Hail Svineborn.
It is kind of hard being at this end, isn't it? Yeah. You're usually in the hot seat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I listened to everyone's stories of their lost loved ones, and it hurts and it hits, and I get to my turn, and it's like, man, I'm already done crying. I've lost quite a few people recently, and also long term. But there's still one that just feels like it was yesterday. If Andy was here, I can imagine every single pie and cheesecake in that kitchen would have a finger hole in it. 'Cause that's what he did. Like, it didn't matter if it was pretty, you wanted to present it, he was sticking his finger in it. I'm just grateful that I never found a second finger hole where he double dipped. We miss you, brother. Hail, Andy.
Hail, Andy. This third round is open to anything. It's Bragi's round. It's open to a boast, a toast, a song, a dance, a poem, a story, an oath, or any continuation of any other round. And I am gonna, I guess, stick with the theme with Herger. So I remember it came to the house when we were living in base housing, and the boys were sword fighting, and they're like, Andy, come fight with us. And he's like, I would, but I don't have a sword. Andy wanted a sword fight with him. He didn't have a sword because we had 2 swords and 3 shields. So I was like, oh, here, gift from me, brother. And I gave him a sword. And I gave him my first sword because I bought it at Kobe Swap Meet, I think. And it was a good sword. It had good heat treat, but it was never ground. It had no real blade. The blade was just basically its shape. Because it was meant for live action fighting, which is exactly what he used it for with the boys when they were little. And years later, I guess he just used it too much, probably with your boys as well, and the pommel end popped off of it. The little end broke off. So this little end broke off back here. And when you guys with Andy came up to visit us in Bridgeport, he said, hey man, can you fix this for me? And I'm like, oh, it always sucks when you give somebody a gift and it breaks, right? Mm-hmm. So we sock it away and then get orders. We move to Mississippi, I had to play to Afghanistan, we move up here, and he dies, and I got this broken ass sword sitting around. So when Leaf turned to 21, I gave him this sword, but I didn't give him the story. So I took this in the shop, cleaned it up, cleaned up the sheath, I redid the metal work everywhere. I ground the blade, and it is now razor sharp with a fuller. It is now a functional, fightable Viking sword that used to belong to Herger in a much less awesome state. And so I put in the work, and now it belongs to Leaf, his first sword. So that was the story. Hail Leaf.
Hail Leaf.
Hail Leaf.
Thank you.
I'm just a big old boy now.
He towers over father.
Yeah, he towers.
Push him in your
Father.
So, I would like to raise this horn to Boar. For last month was a bit chaotic between us. And of course, it all gets wrapped up in the moment. But I took something from you, and that was the gift of giving. And I'm glad that we were able to come together today and really resolve that. But as you have raised me, a gift demands a gift. And I was rocking my brain trying to think of something for you. And it just so happened to fall into my lap on a whim one random day. What it is are these 2 coins. One of them is in celebration of the 100-year anniversary for the Battle of Vimy Ridge in Italy. It's a memorial coin. It was made in 2017 and only then, and a Canadian one at that. And that same day I found a second coin. Both of them adorning the same head, but with different tails. And I looked up that second coin and the name eluded me. It was called the Wait For Me Daddy coin. And I didn't have a description. All I had was the title. But upon closer inspection, it depicted a young boy reaching for his father's hand as he stood in military march, ready for war. So I have a coin for you and a coin for me. And let it always be a symbol that I would never be whole without you, and without your guidance. Hail the Bodvar.
Hail Bodvar!
And I want to say something. I want to say something on the coin too. So, I always talk about how a lot of these things we do them because they feel right. We don't know that they're historic. There's no record of it. But it feels right to do it, so we do it and we call it our own. Well, it just so happens there's an old tradition, especially among mountain men, frontiersmen, and things like that, is that if you're ever gifted a blade, that you always repay with a coin. So if you purchase it, it's not a gift, because a gifted blade is always a danger to the person and it cuts the friendship. So you will always give a coin in return for a blade. So whether you knew that or not, I don't know. But the fact is that these things are in us. And if all we can do is just express ourselves and be open and honest, things like this just happen naturally, and they'll continue to happen for millennia because they're supposed to. So, thanks. Customary that the last toast goes to the wives, but before we do that, we're going to do our Yule log. So, we don't want to get them wives drunk yet.
Maybe.
Oh! Maybe we do. Hail wives! Can you believe it?
Yes, I can.
I'm gonna like this again, okay, guys? The wife's like the play. Okay. Okay, so the Yule log, the idea with the Yule log is that we make a wish for the coming year, something that bring us into the future. You don't have to know how it's gonna happen or how to get to the end result. The only thing is that you just have to have a goal or a wish. It's not a resolution, it's not, you don't have any responsibility for it, it's just something that you would like to see happen. So, what I would like to see is I would like to see the continual growth of not only the Northwoods Kindred, but our extended family and future extended families. I want to see growth happen, and I want to see it slow and incremental. Maybe over the course of the year, maybe over the next couple of years. We made a vow last year when we started the channel that we weren't going to bring in any new members. But that didn't extend as far as losing members, so we did lose some. And we do have some that have hung around for a good portion of the year. But what we also did in doing that was we avoided getting the wrong people or bringing the wrong people here too fast. So if we could move that would be my wish for the future, is that we can continue to move forward slowly and not too quickly. Because when you grow quick, you grow with the wrong types of people. around, as is the custom. We'll raise this horn to our mischievous little husvetter, the whites, the Atonement, the Disa, all the creatures and spirits that inhabit the land and inhabit our homes and inhabit our lives. Play little pranks and, pine for our attention, and they usually get it. But we try not to forget about them, we try to honor them, and we try to give them what they need when they need it, and keep them on our side and keep them happy, and this is no different. So, to the little guys in and around our home, you always have a place here, you're always welcome, and if you need something, you know how to get it. Hail the whites.
Hail the whites.
And with that, this Sumble has ended.